Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again. This is a nation united, and we have a lot to get to, as this will be a major turning point for this series. I said I was going to take my time, and I've done just that. I have looked through every player that we have available to us, and I think I finally have the team finalized that I want and that I think will bring us success in this future. But it is guaranteed in this episode, I'll probably make a trade that you hate. I'll probably make a trade that you like. But regardless, this team is going to end up as the team that I want it to be. Whether or not we have success after that, who knows? But with all the information I have, all the players we have available, I think this team will have a good balance and a good mix and should hopefully bring that success. Now, I haven't made the trades yet. We are going to do that live, so this will be a pretty long episode, I am assuming. But like I mentioned, it's a major episode. A lot is going to happen. So what we're going to do first off is we are going to figure out our goaltending, which really we don't have to do too much. We have Robin Lehner, we have Högberg, we need to sign Nylander. I also just picked up Joachim Eriksson, the former Vancouver Canucks goaltender, as our fifth option in case of injury. Marmland and Johansson are on their way out, as the AHL will be Werner, Nylander, and Eriksson this season. So unfortunately for Daniel Marmland, he is on his way out, but we need to make sure that Nylander gets a decent amount of playing time. So let's go ahead and get this deal done. Not sure where we're sending them to be honest. It doesn't really matter. This is probably the most minor trade we'll make in this episode. There are some blockbusters coming, trust me. But like I said, I took a lot of time in between recording this episode and the previous one. I looked at all your feedback from the last few episodes and earlier in the series. This series has had a good mixture of me just doing what I want to do, but also taking your feedback into account, which is how we ended up with the likes of Rickard Rakell in this series. And it's had mixed results. We also, as I didn't expect that to go through, but that's fine. We also, at certain points, went with, I tried to clear my throat there and talk at the same time. It didn't quite work. I also, at points, went with the younger players, as I tend to do, to see who was going to progress. And that has resulted in certain players making this team that you might not expect, as, you know, compared to the players that we're going to be trading away in favor of keeping those players. Point being, everything we've done in this series so far has led up to this episode. The players we let go of, the players we allowed to progress, the trades that we've made, and whether or not those were mistakes. It's all led to this. But like I said, Per Nylander needs to be signed, and just like that, our goaltending is taken care of. The easy part is done. Here comes the really fun part, as we're going straight into a blockbuster. And by blockbuster, I mean we are going to trade either Hampus Lindholm or Victor Hedman. We're going to do it. We are going to do it, and the question of who to get rid of is a tough one for sure. You have Hampus Lindholm, who is going to be switched back to a two-way defenseman, definitely more of a shutdown guy. Then you have Victor Hedman, where, man, I don't quite want to get rid of him either, right? I mean, he's had some huge seasons for us in the past, especially that 79-point season. The problem is the two players we're deciding between are both offensive D-men who are arguably better than Victor Hedman offensively. So it would make sense to keep Hampus Lindholm, which I think is what we're going to do. We've seen that he can be a 94 overall. That's a big factor with this season, is the morale system is going to make us pay early on, as a lot of players could drop 1 to 2 overall points because of the trades. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I think Victor Hedman's the guy. And there are two players, and it's probably not all that difficult for you to figure out who they are. Two players that could replace him. The first being Erik Karlsson, who I didn't plan on getting in this series, but there is an opportunity to get him. And again, as far as an offensive defenseman, I'd say he's a bit better than Victor Hedman. The other is a player that I don't believe I've had in one of my series before, which makes it, to me, the more intriguing option, and that would be John Klingberg, who, again, as an offensive defenseman, is better than Victor Hedman. 93 offensive awareness, 94 passing. Defensively, he's solid. I don't think we can go wrong with either choice, but because I've used Karlsson prominently in two different series, in the Vancouver series, and as one of you pointed out, the QC series, which was months ago, and man, it's easy to forget. I'm going to go with John Klingberg. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. You're going to trade Victor Hedman for John Klingberg. Yeah. Yes, I am. That is exactly what we're going to do. And I think by the time we get to the end of this episode and you see the completed team, you might just agree with me. Now, the problem is I don't know if we're also going to have to give up anything to make this work. I'm just going to go one pick at a time here to see how close we are in value. Because they don't want to trade him, we might have to give up a bit more, which is typically what happens. A straight 1-for-1 will not go through, so there you go. But we do have quite a few players we're looking to give up in this episode anyway, so I'm not all that concerned about having to tack on other players. And actually, the first one that we were going to get rid of is Wickstrom, but they can't do that, which is unfortunate. Okay, never mind. Never mind. We might have to get into picks here, which is fine. We're going to be trading a lot of picks anyway. Teamander might be worth getting rid of. Low bottom 6. Any other unsigned players? Enland we're keeping and actually signing as a depth player. Wow, we actually don't even have that many unsigned guys. I know we have the goaltenders. But the question is, how close are we to getting this deal to go through? Hopefully not too far off. Of course, that is the hope. As draft pick-wise, we're in a bit of a rough spot because of previous trades. But we'll make it work. We will make it work. If I have my mind set to it, damn it, I will find a way to make this work. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. It's exactly what we're going to do. Victor Hedman to Detroit. Hopefully, I say that because I see the salary cap. We'll see if this goes through. But the plan is to send Victor Hedman to Detroit for John Klingberg. It has happened. I can't believe it. I can't believe I've done it. John Klingberg. Oh, for Victor Hedman. It is done, and we are not done yet. Not by a long shot. Again, Hampus Lindholm's development made this possible. Otherwise, of course, I'd go with Victor Hedman. But his progression has been insane. Now, defensively, we're not done. Not yet. We still have 2 trades to go for players that we want, and then we have to move players out for draft picks, and that should help get other deals done. This is more about moving players out, if anything. The next guy, though, is Oliver Kylington, who, yes, is listed as an offensive defenseman. I do think, though, he'd be better suited as a two-way. That passing isn't too high. I think he'd be better suited as a two-way on that 4th line spot. Aside from the physical category, he's a beast. He is a beast, and he's on a pretty decent contract moving forward, and I think he would be a very strong addition to this team. Now, actually, I need to check Tampa's contract spots, and we are in a favorable spot. Moving out, and actually, I'll be able to pair them up together. Gustav Forsling, who I can fully admit, guys, he didn't progress, and that was my bad. We got him back in the Leonard deal, and he simply hasn't progressed. He's not a bad player, but he hasn't turned into what I thought he could. And again, high top 6 potential, you never know. Look at Dennis Cholowski. It's always going to be my main example. He became a 90-plus overall. I think it was a 92 in the Bruins series earlier this year. You just never know, but that hasn't worked. And Rasmus Andersson, Bottom line is, it's him or Lucas Bengtsson for that right-handed spot on the second defensive pairing, and we're going with Lucas Bengtsson. So we're going to look to move these two guys out, and we should be able to make this work with Tampa fairly quickly, which isn't too bad at all. Again, I don't want this video to be an hour long. It might happen. Probably not, but you never know. Now, that didn't go through, but let's see here. If we try to pick hoard, because I have no shame when it comes to pick hoarding in this series, we have to do what we have to do. And unfortunately, it's looking like this isn't going to work out too well for me. That sucks. All right, well, can we at least get the fourth? Nah, it's too much. Okay. We might be close to a 1-for-1 simply because they don't want to trade him. Let's see. Yep, the 6th is too much. 1-for-1? Wow, we're still going to have to give up something, but that's fine. That's fine. I am willing to pay to make this happen. I want Oliver Kylington on this team, and I think the second pairing combo of him and Lucas Bengtsson should do wonders for us this season. That is the hope. That is the hope. But is a 5th rounder enough? No, it is not. And see, this is why I was tempted to go ahead and do these trades off screen, because this is just time consuming. But if I'm going to be sitting here working around with the menus anyway, then fuck it. I might as well be sitting here talking the entire time, right? Why the hell not? Why not? At least entertain myself. A 3rd round pick isn't enough. Damn, they really value Kylington, which is a good sign, if you ask me. It's a good thing for us. I might just tack on another player here because they do have the contract spots, and that's exactly what I am going to do. So really quickly, we got rid of Marmanland. We got rid of Johansson. Who else can we add to this deal? We'll just focus on defensemen to keep it simple. We do have quite a few forwards we have to move out later. Dahlstrom is another guy we're going to be getting rid of. Will that go through? No, it won't. And we'll also look to tack on Wickstrand here. Another guy we'll be getting rid of. Is that good? All right, good. We're still good to go here as far as contract spots. So we'll be able to send Tampa quite a bit of help. I mean, not terrible players that we're getting rid of, but it's all a part of a grand plan that will hopefully lead this team to success. The problem is Tampa really doesn't want to get rid of Kylington. My God, I obliterated our draft picks. This has to work, right? Like, make no mistake. This has to work. This has to be the turning point because of the draft pick situation. And unfortunately, they really want a lot for Kylington. I'm willing to give it up. I'm willing to give it up. I believe in the depth chart that I have put together, the team on paper that I have put together. I believe in it, and I think we will find success in this series with it. Now, it's just a matter of how much do we have to give up for Kylington. Oh my God. Tampa is making this so difficult. Steve Yzerman. Steve Yzerman, you're killing me. I've had trouble trading with Tampa in all of my series this year. I swear they make Tampa's AI that much more difficult to deal with. Will that go through straight up? No, it won't. Holy hell. Alright, well see, this is what I was afraid of. This is what I was afraid of. Something like this happening. Now, Dahlstrom is a decent option. Who else was on the chopping block? And we'll have to go to forwards here. You know what? Spoiler alert here for one of the forwards we're getting rid of. Forsbacka Karlsson. Forsbacka Karlsson is on his way out. Not happy with his development. We're going to try to cash out here and get what we can for him. Now, I don't think adding a draft pick here is going to work, but we're going to add just a 5th to see what the situation is. And it was actually kind of close. All right, so maybe the 6th and the 7th will help this go through. We have to give up a lot to get him. Forsling, Anderson, Dahlstrom, and Forsbacka Karlsson. But I believe in Oliver Kylington. The deal is done, and he has been added to this team. A major deal, as I hit my elbow, as I seemingly always do. It's just this desk. I hate it, and I need a new one. That is not our last deal defensively, however. There's a player who we've talked about getting numerous times in this series. He's a bit older, but to be on the 3rd pairing with Liljegren, I think he'll be a strong addition. That man is Alex Edler, 34 years old, But again, he's a little bit slow now too. But I'm willing to take the risk on Edler. He's got a bit of a rough contract, but maybe he can be that shutdown defenseman that allows Liljegren to truly progress this year. If Liljegren progresses, next season Bengtsson goes, the cycle starts to kick back in where we hopefully trade Bengtsson for a strong prospect or draft picks. We'll see. As far as who we are giving up here, how were they on contracts? They're in a rough spot contract-wise, which could make this a little bit more difficult than I wanted it to be. But that's all right. That's all right. And to be honest, one of the other players on his way out is Victor Arvidsson. And we'll look to include him in this deal. Of course, we'll recoup some draft picks here. But Victor Arvidsson, on his way out, just hasn't turned into that dominant force offensively that we were hoping he would. Obviously, in the playoffs at one point, got dropped to the fourth line where he didn't do too terribly. And actually, that trade would go through, which is interesting. Let's try to be as cheap about this as possible because we need all the picks that we can get. Will that still go through? No, it won't. What if we take out that fifth? That still won't go through. So a second, a fourth, and we'll just add all of these picks. Will that go through for Alex Edler? No, it won't. We'll take off the sixth, and we're good. Alex Edler for Victor Arvidsson. Tell me if you expected that one. I don't think you did. I don't think you did. Now, as far as defense goes, we only have one move left to make. And that would be to get rid of Wickstrand. Now, where can we send him? Where can we send him? Vancouver. See if we can send him out to the Vancouver Canucks, who don't exactly need help defensively, but that's okay. Can we actually manage to get a third-round pick for Wickstrand? That would be hilarious. That's not going to happen. How about a fourth-round pick? Will that go through? No, it won't. See, the values look close, but they're not actually. Gotta love when that happens. Fifth, sixth, and a seventh? No. How about a fifth and a seventh? I meant to scroll all the way down. Fifth and a seventh? No. Just a fifth. Oh, you know what? I'll take it. Wickstrand for a fifth-round pick. And defensively, we are good to go. Which brings us to the offense. And this decision is tough. This is the one I'm not certain on. Even more than the Hedman trade. Second line right wing. It comes down to either Malta Stromwall or a player who I said would never appear on one of my teams again because of what happened in the QC series. That man is Elias Lindholm. It's a tough decision, man. Lindholm as our second line right wing, even though he's really good on faceoffs, it would make sense in a minute, and you'll see why. But having Lindholm, an elite second liner for what that's worth, on our team would be amazing. But we do have Malta Stromwall. If we get Lindholm, Stromwall goes. That's just the way it pans out with the rest of the team. And obviously Stromwall is a bit of a wizard. 88 offensive awareness. But despite how good he's been for us in this series, I mean, and the fact that he had 61 points, he's going. He is going. Malta Stromwall on his way out. Buffalo do have spots, but they don't have the cap space. But it's not a one-for-one. Ricard Raquel is going. The top line this year is going to be Forsberg with the Nylanders. We've been able to make it work where Ricard Raquel has been all right on the second line, but we're going to get rid of him. It's a very risky move. It is a very risky move because he is still on an amazing contract. But we are going to send Ricard Raquel to the Buffalo Sabres. I know, it's ridiculous. But again, we're doing what I feel like we have to do. And actually, if I tack on Stromwall here, just to get that part of the deal done, cap space, it works, and we should be able to get that much more back from the Sabres. So let's do this. Let's see what we can get. I don't think a first would go through. It will not. A second, honestly, might. So let's see if we can just tack on that third round pick next year just in case. That would go through. All right. So, with that said, let's tack on as much as we can here. And will that still go through? Yes, it will, which concerns me. Let's try to get another third round pick way down the line. Will that go through? No, it won't, but we'd have to sweeten it just a touch. And by that, we can just tack on a late pick to push this deal through. How about a seventh? Is that enough? No, it is not. Let's switch that to a sixth. Like I said, I'm probably going to make some trades that you hate. This might be the one, even more than the Hedman trade. But have a little faith in me. We'll see if it works out. Will that go through? No, it won't. All right, you know, I'm willing to give up. I think a sixth and a seventh will do it. If not, we'll go with 2 sixth-round picks. Is the deal done? It is not. Buffalo, you're killing me here. Come on. Stop nickel and diming us for absolutely nothing. Stop it. Behave yourself. Will this go through? Yes, it will. And it has. Rickard Rakell to Buffalo in exchange for Hampus Lindholm and a ton of other stuff. Needless to say. That's how we'll describe it. A ton of other stuff. Now, we actually have a second deal we need to make with Buffalo, but I wanted to make sure I could get as much back draft pick-wise, which, honestly, quite a few of those draft picks might have to go right back. We're going to look to pick up Oscar Lindberg as our fourth-line center. You might notice, pretty good defensively, a physical player, a pretty fast player. That is what we hope our fourth line is this season. And that's how we're going to set it up. Whether or not they actually live up to expectation, well, we'll see. That's the only thing that I can say. We shall see. Unfortunately, Jonathan Dahlen is on his way out. Jonathan Dahlen is off this team. I am going to get shredded in the comments for what this team ends up being. But I'm willing to take the risks to turn this team into a winner, damn it. Will that go through? No, it won't. That's a bit too much. How about the second round pick next year and a third? Nope, actually, I already got the third way down the line, didn't I? I already got that. How about the fourth and fifth? The fourth and fifth. Is that too much, or will that go through? That will not go through. Let's take off a fifth. That didn't go through either. We'll take off another fourth. We'll have to sweeten it just a touch. All right, I can do that. We have sixth-round picks to spare, or at least one sixth-round pick now from Anaheim. And there you have it. Dahlen also off to Buffalo. We get Oscar Lindberg and a couple of picks in return. One more deal that affects the NHL level, and it's going to be a deal for a fourth liner. That would be Jesper Fast, who we're going to have as our fourth line right wing. You might notice, decent skater, decent defense, decent physical, good puck skills as well, which could factor in. He could be a really strong penalty killer for us moving in to this season. Now, as far as who we have to move out, Andre Burakovsky has not made the cut. We'll see if we can get this deal to go through. It's a little bit close on the cap space, but we'll see if we can get this to work. Is a third round pick too much? Might not actually be enough. I'm gonna play it really safe here with this deal. Will that go through? No, it won't. But again, I want to play it safe, and it's actually already pretty close, so that's good. And we'll tack on a seventh way down the line, which works out for me. That didn't go through then. Apparently, it was even further away. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. A sixth-round pick in 2023. Will that go through? No, it won't. But we'll make it work. How about a fifth-round pick from Vancouver this year? How does that sound? And I hate how the menu glitches out. That still didn't go through. Damn. A little bit surprised. We'll tack a sixth-round pick again from 2023 onto the deal. Will that go through? Yes, it will. Burakovsky off to St. Louis. How do you like that? We have one more deal to make, and that is to pick up a prospect from the New York Islanders. That man being, where are you? Where are you at, buddy? You're further down than I expected, but it's going to be Nicholas Danielson, who could potentially make the team somewhat sooner rather than later. Offensively, he's good. He can still be played at the AHL level, which is good news for us and good news for the Ontario Reign. So let's see, who have I not gotten rid of that I was meant to get rid of? Because obviously we have made some pretty ridiculous moves in this episode. And actually, I think we're good. I think we got rid of everybody that we wanted to, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, we did. All right. Well, how do you like that? How do you like that? We're going to have to give up a draft pick to get him, but that's fine. Let's give up our own, maybe? Will that go through? No, it won't. That's okay, because the draft lately hasn't been too kind to us. Will that go through? No, it won't. You know what? He was kind of an extra. He's not a complete necessity. And because of that, I'm actually going to hold off. Never mind. I'm actually going to hold off on signing him. We don't really need him. It just would have been an extra. But because of how the rest of the trades have panned out, I don't want to give up too much to get him. So let's hold off. And let's get this team settled. We do need to sign one player who is currently unsigned, that being Enland. He'll be a depth player for the Ontario Reign. Let's get this team set up and finalized. I'll give you guys a look at the lines as we head into the next season. Not sure if we'll sim at all in this episode. Maybe, maybe not. We are making pretty good time, actually. I thought that would take a hell of a lot longer. But we will send Nylander down. Defensively, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nassen can be sent down. And then for forwards, I think we're good. We just got to send Enland down. And indeed, we are good. How do you like that? How do you like that? So here we go. Let me get you guys a look at the team for this season. Let me get you a look. Let me get it set up, first of all. And there you have it. Offensively, top line, Philip Forsberg, William Nylander, and Alex Nylander, all three listed as first-line players. We're going to give them the playing time that they deserve. Second line is where the risk really kicks in. But I want to give our young players a chance, and Carl Grundstrom deserves a chance. With his 89 passing, his 86 offensive awareness, he cannot shoot a puck, but he could be a gigantic help on this team with his playmaking ability. He's a great skater as well. He deserves a chance, and we're going to give it to him. Second line, left wing is no joke. He has to deliver, but now is his opportunity. And it's the same story for Elias Anderson, the 93 offensive awareness. We will see what he can do, listed as a third line checking forward, but we're going to play him in a more offensive role. We'll change him to a playmaker, obviously, which means the guy who has to carry the line is going to be Elias Lindholm. I know he has the 89 faceoffs, but I want a righty on the right wing, and we'll see what he can do for us. In the QC series, he didn't do anything. And then we traded him to Toronto. And if you don't know how that turned out, go watch that series back if you haven't. But it's a very dangerous, experimental second line that we have here, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm willing to give it a chance, no doubt. Third line, Adrian Kempe. And the second line deserves a chance. That's what I'm saying. Third line, Adrian Kempe. He had a lot of competition for who we could have put in this spot. I'm willing to keep him. He's solid defensively. He's a physical player. He is the perfect third liner for what we're looking for, and he should be able to chip in offensively as well. A good chance I'll change him to a two-way again. Grinder, power forward, so many different player types that we could give to him, but he is good for the third line. Of course, Eriksson Ek also still here. Good defensively, a physical player as well. And then the third line. Jens Luke's defensive category isn't the best, but it's good enough to have kept him on this team. And I remember someone said his name isn't actually pronounced Luke. It's more like Loki or something like that. Which, yeah, I guess I'll start saying Loki, but it's going to take some time. So give me a couple of episodes. But especially, too, with his heroics in previous episodes, he deserved a chance, and he's still here on the third line. And then you have the fourth line, Marcus Davidson. Again, deserves a chance to prove himself with that defensive category. Not the most physical player, but we're going to give him a shot. You have Oscar Lindberg, again, decent defensively, physical player. Jesper Foss, the same thing. The former Ranger connection there on the fourth line. It's an experimental lineup. It's a very risky lineup to have when you factor in that we traded Rickard Rakell, when you factor in that we traded Burakovsky, Arvidsson, Dahlin, Forsbacka Karlsson even. But these are the players that I want to give that opportunity to. And very easily, I could have, I don't think I could have gotten Lindholm if that was the case. But very easily, the second line could have been Anderson, Stromwall, or no, excuse me, it could have been Elias Anderson on the left, Rickard Rakell, and Stromwall on the right. Very easily could have been that. But I wanted to give a true chance to prospects Grundstrom and Anderson to see what we actually have. Especially, too, with how much we gave up to get Elias Anderson. We need to put him in a spot to succeed and develop. Defensively, I really like the look of this defense, man. I don't know what to tell you. Hampus Lindholm, of course, will change to a two-way. He is on the top pairing with John Klingberg. Please don't make a fool out of me, John. I need you to be an absolute monster for us. 70-point season, just like Hedman had, would be great. Second pairing, Oliver Kylington will be changed to a two-way, not be traded. Traded for him for a reason. I think he'll be a good fit with Lucas Bengtsson, who also really needs to step up now that Hedman is gone. And then the third pairing, the veteran Alex Edler, who will be changed to a defensive D-man most likely, will be on that pairing with Liljegren, and we'll see how he continues to develop. And of course, the goaltending remains the same. It is Robin Lehner, listed as an elite goalie, with Marcus Högberg as the backup. What will this team be able to accomplish? I don't know. But I am willing to risk the future of this series on the shoulders of these players. Down at the AHL level, again, the goaltending, Adam Werner and Per Nylander as the duo there. The big thing that a lot of people might bring up is that I acquired Alex Edler when I could have just put Rasmus Dahlin on that third pair. And you're not wrong, but that defensive category is pretty miserable. 75 defensive awareness. He needs a bit more seasoning, and he will get it this year in the AHL. And we're actually going to have him on the top pairing with Bronstrom, who is not a bad player at all, and actually doesn't have that great of a shot. So we'll swap those two around. We will have Linus Nossen with Cederholm, and then the third pairing will be Hedberg with Bernhard, which means we have Nilsson and Lundin scratched. Indeed, we do. Nilsson, not a bad player, medium top 6. You could argue having him in the lineup to begin with, but again, we do want to keep the Ontario Reign a bit competitive, and they should be very competitive with that defense. But trading away guys like Dahlstrom and Wickstrand, it was about giving some of these other guys, mainly Bernhardt and Hedberg, a chance moving forward into this season. And as far as the forward core down in Ontario, we do need to take out a couple of guys that are signed to AHL level deals, but that is a quick and easy change. Do we have any left wings? Reddix, who isn't ours. But as far as scratched players go, we have Sjostrom and Enlund. Holmstrom would have been scratched had we acquired Danielson from the Islanders, but it might work out a little bit better this way. And as far as how we want these lines set up, that is actually a pretty good question. And I didn't put too much thought into the AHL lineup, like the actual lineup, but I am going to set it up right here, right now, because why the hell not? The top line will definitely be Asplund, Boqvist, and Pedersen. That's a pretty sick top line, and we'll have Elias as the center. Second line, looking at potential and the age groups here, we will go with Gunnarsson, Soderlund, and Soderstrom. Not too shabby. And the third line, where we're pretty much at the point of it not mattering as far as potential, just because of the age, we'll go with the best players. That being Wallmark, Vedamo, and Andreas Johnson. The fourth line, pretty simple. It will be Holmstrom, Olsen, and Kevin Stenlund on the right-hand side. So again, giving a chance mainly to that top line of Asplund, Pedersen, and Boqvist, their time to shine. And that's what this is about, giving some of these players a chance to prove that they deserve to be on the team. Grundstrom, Anderson, Loki, and Davidson really deserve that chance. What can Liljegren do this season? It's going to be interesting. You can't make this many moves, this many major moves, without every little aspect being dissected, and that is fully what I expect. And as we head into a new era, I will actually assign the letters for once, which I haven't paid much attention to in this series. But I feel as though it is fairly obvious who is our captain. That will be Hampus Lindholm. As far as the alternates, you might be a bit surprised by my choice, but I'm going with William Nylander. And as a sign of good faith, Adrian Kempe is getting a letter. And we'll see what he could do with that. Typically, when assigning captaincy, what I'd normally just do is go here to the morale screen and see who is listed as a presence or as a leader. But, yeah, who cares at this stage? Now, again, the morale is a pretty big factor for a lot of players, but we'll hope that they can bounce back. And actually, down in the AHL, I don't know why Eriksson has such an issue. I mean, he is going to be scratched. But we'll assign the AHL captaincy as well. We're not going to sim here in this episode, mainly because my voice is starting to give out, so I can't keep talking. But we'll bounce back, and we'll begin the season in the next episode as we get to deal with the fallout from the ridiculousness that we have seen here. We'll actually leave Rasmus Dahlin as the captain because I don't want to affect his morale, basically. Yeah, that's pretty much the reason. Andreas Johnson, or Janssen, I do believe, will get one of the first letters. He's been around for quite a bit. And then from there, let's go with Wallmark, who has also been around for quite a while. So there we go. We'll fuck around with the morale a little bit more as we hand out the letters. As we get a look at the final grades, the AHL team, 82, 83, and 84 for ratings. The NHL team, a 93, a 93, and a 90, which should improve once the morale kind of fixes itself. We only have 74 locker room chemistry. It is going to take some time for things to sort out, and that should only improve at least the overall ratings should improve once we get things going and once we see how well Liljegren progresses. I will take care of the power play and the penalty kill units off screen here. We don't need to bore you completely to death, just partially as I went through and changed up the lines. But it is going to be an insane season. For one reason or another. Fact is, with some of the players that we had, we still weren't finding that major success. So now was the time to take those risks. We were going to have to trade players anyway. Did I expect to go all out and make as major of moves as I did? No, that wasn't the plan, but that is what happened, and we will continue this journey in the next episode as we begin the 2020-2021 season. 2020. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, of course, make sure to hit that like button to help support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already to continue following this series and others. Follow me on Twitter at Tukey24 for updates and join the notification squad to make sure that you don't miss a video. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the episode. Cannot wait to see your feedback for this one. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of A Nation United.